We are going to go live, so I'm going to meet you, and we'll be back in just a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Four Laps Down. We're really excited for our guest this evening. We have Mr. Kase Kallenbach from the Single Zero team, JD Motorsports in the Xfinity Series, not to be confused with the Double Zero team in the Cup Series, one of our favorites. I have here, as always, my co-host, Mr. Daniel Ship. Daniel, how are you?
I'm good, bud. I know we're kind of competing with some national stage stuff,
I know,
but
but hey, you know
we
what?
gotta get our stuff in.
Hey, we're gonna drink more beer than they will during this next hour.
Well,
So.
I can't. It's that week. I
Oh,
can't.
you're on call.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, Mr. Kallenbach, thanks for being with us this evening. It's supposed to be an off weekend for you, and you're sitting here talking rubbing and racing with us. Appreciate you being here. How's it feel to get an off week during a busy time of year?
Man, we have been wide open pretty much ever since the end of the year last year, holidays and all that stuff. I mean, it's kind of nice to go into the shop and we're still working hard. Don't get me wrong, but it's kind of nice to relax and not be worried about what time we got to load the trailer and this and that. It's kind of relaxing for us.
I bet.
So before we delve into your cup stuff and what you got going on with JD Motorsports, which we've had Leighton on. He was on a couple weeks ago. Another good guest. Let's dial it back a little bit and let's bring it back into history. Where was your first start at? How did you get started in NASCAR overall?
So I guess growing up, I always was at Greenville Pickens or Anderson, South Carolina. That's where I grew up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Always wanted to go racing. Bought my own race car when I was in high school. Drove street stocks. Moved away at 17. Moved to North Carolina. I went to NASCAR Tech to try to get a foot in the door, and then finally, I found this. At the time, it was a racing school. At the same time, it's called Race 101. And I wanted to go there because I still had this big giant dream of driving for NASCAR. But obviously my checkbook's not as big as some of these other guys. So I volunteered all the time. I went to class there. They taught mechanical stuff. They taught marketing stuff. They taught shocks, everything, the whole 9 yards. Well, I was working at a Meineke at the time and lost my job. They were cutting back hours. Didn't have nothing going on. So I actually posted on Facebook, lost my job. Anybody got anything? Yada, yada, yada. And my teacher / boss at the time gave me a call and said, hey, do you want to just work here? He's like, you're already here 4 or 5 days a week. Why don't you just work here? And I was like, okay. So that was it. Race 101. We were a super late model team. We ran a handful of races here and there with Carl Weber. And just turned into ARCA and just kept going from there.
So you did the Kanan series. How many races did you do for that?
As in when we were still at 101, or do you want to know when I was doing the next gen deal?
Next gen. I'll go next gen.
So had a small tenure with a truck team in 2017, and then they switched over to Nice Motorsports, and then I ended up getting in contact with Teddy Brown over at Next Gen, and I was there for half a year. Crew chief Juan Manuel Gonzalez, David Levine was there doing a bunch of test driving. Crew chiefed him at a road course one time, and I mean that was pretty fun. I mean K&N's kind of laid back compared to what we do nowadays, and we didn't have the best cars, the best motors, stuff like that. But I mean it was just kind of fun going to these little short tracks with, the Bassett's and the Rev Racing guys. And just, you could beat and bang, and after the race, hoot and holler and hang out with everybody,
So when you were a kid growing up, did you grow up a race fan? Did you have a fascination with racing, or was that something that came later in life for you?
Pretty much ever since I was as little as anybody can tell me about, all I've wanted to do is race cars. Watch them, be around them, play with cars outside or in my room. Like, that's all I've ever wanted to do.
So who was your favorite growing up? Were you a Gordon or an Earnhardt?
Actually, I was a Dale Jarrett fan.
My man.
Dale Jarrett.
Hey.
Dale Jarrett, and then Mark Martin was my mom and my dad's. But, Dale kind of quit before Mark did, retired. Mark kept going. So then I just transferred over. And, now that I'm older and knowing Mark Martin and stuff like that, definitely way more of a fan than him. I mean, Dale Jarrett's cool. Don't get me wrong. But, I'd say more Mark Martin now.
Well, it's funny because I follow Mark Martin on Instagram, and he's a big rap
great
fan.
follow. He's a
He's a
great
big.
follow.
I never realized how big of a rap fan he is. Like he's like into the hardcore stuff, and I'm like, okay. So, and I agree. So,
Yeah, like I think it was
go ahead.
when like 50 Cent was getting real big, like when he first came out or whatever. Like he started coming to the races with Mark and was sitting on the pit box and all kinds of cool stuff like that.
Yeah, I could see that. So, you do the Pro East Series, the next gen stuff for about a year or so. I think you run. I think you said like 4 or 5 races. Um, so
Yeah.
where does JD Motorsports, where does that flip come from? I know, so that comes on later, I'm guessing. Is it, who's your first driver that you actually crew chief in the cups, in the national series? Let me get that right.
So after next gen, I went to JP Motorsports. Jerry Hadaway was the owner. He was famous for the wrong reasons. Let's just leave it at that. But so I went there, and Josh Balicki was my first Xfinity driver. We went to Daytona in July, and he was my debut as a crew chief in the Xfinity series. And then after I did him for one race, he went back to the other crew chief, and I had Bailey Curry for the rest of the year.
Ah, another one of our previous guests. See, we're getting good at this.
Yep.
We can tie those in. We had him on a couple weeks ago. He was traveling. Where was he going? From Vegas to Phoenix, I believe, is when we got him out in the
Probably.
middle of nowhere with terrible reception. It was
Yeah,
rough,
he was he was riding in a car, and he was grateful we gave him something to do to pass the car ride.
he had the overhead light on the
Yeah.
whole ride, and I felt bad for the driver.
Yeah.
So you, I mean, so so the thing that gets me is you're younger than me, by the way. Just so you know this, you're what? You're 20. How old are you? 29.
Yep.
Are you the youngest crew chief on the pit box on the lane? I mean, is that you?
I think so. I mean, I'd have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure I'm one of the younger ones by a good little bit. You know, everybody's 40s, 50s, somewhere in that area. There's a couple 30-year-olds.
Yeah. So for you to get to the level that you have at your age, obviously it is impressive. You've got a lot of guys, like you said, 40s, 50s. They've worked their whole life, 20 plus years, to get an opportunity, to call the shots. And here you are, 29 years old. What's your secret? How can you help me find similar levels of success in my life?
You got to work your butt off. That's all I can tell you. Don't give up. You know, I I will say meeting the right people at certain times of my life have
Mm-hmm.
helped, getting me the right connections. But I mean, without the dedication and the passion and then the support group behind me to help me, I never would have made it here, you know.
Right. So along the way, you talked about how you grew up, racing fan, Dale Jarrett, Mark Martin, and then you got an opportunity when you seemed like it was a bad time in your life, the opportunity knocked at the perfect time. Along the way, you've probably met some pretty cool people. Not necessarily who are famous people that you met. I'm not asking you to name drop here, but who are some of the most influential people to you in your career? Who do you attribute being your inspiration or helping you along the way, the most?
So I find myself a lot, even nowadays. My first ever crew chief, his name was Tony Blanchard. And I mean, we kind of ended on the wrong foot and all this other stuff, but not going to, really get into all that.
Mm-hmm.
But he taught me a lot of my hard work ethic, work ethic. Can't talk tonight, apparently. Um, getting to work early. You get to go home early if you get your stuff done. Another big one is my truck crew chief over at AM Racing was Bill Henderson. Funniest crew chief you'd ever meet in your life. Same thing. He would say, guys, if you work hard, you get your stuff done, you can have a day off. Stuff like that. He's like, as long as your stuff is done, you're good to go. So I've kind of instilled that into me, and I'm trying to teach my guys essentially. And then now, currently where I'm at, my boss, Brian Barry, He runs JD Motorsports essentially. He's the competition director. He's kind of a very influential person, not necessarily just the racing stuff, but like just life. Because he's been around, he's 50 something years old, and he's been around, and like he's kind of a really good mentor to me right now.
So, I mean, in those kinds of instances, I mean, when you have to go to your so to explain kind of, and there are some people, so like a competition director, and I guess it's kind of in that field of JD Motorsports, kind of in the essence that people say like Chad Canals. He kind of have his hands on all the teams? Is that kind of what a competition director would say?
Yeah, like so Johnny Davis is the owner. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Johnny doesn't have a big hand in everything because he can't. He's got all this other stuff going on. So Brian Berry, I mean, you're correct. Like he still works on his car, does his stuff, but he helps us if we need anything on our cars. He points me in the right direction if I have any questions. I mean, any other crew chief in the shop, and then when it comes down to calling G-force and getting transmissions and gears and rear ends looked at, getting motors sent off to PME or ECR or wherever they got to go. So I mean, like you said, like he's same thing. Jack Nouse, he's got his hand in everything in that shop.
So I'm going through. I'm looking at the chat. I believe your wife has already corrected us, and I apologize for saying your name incorrectly. I want to go ahead and say that now. I apologize.
I think it was me that said it wrong.
Was it you? I don't know. I'm going
me.
to take blame for it. I'm cool with it. It's understandable.
I was told it's Kallenbach, like Wally Dallenbach.
So it's back or Bach?
No, it's Kallenbach.
Kallenbach. Okay.
Bach. Dallenbach.
Yeah.
See? Okay.
Yeah.
So going through,
I'd be lying to you if I'd say you were the first one to ever mess it up. Every teacher I ever had in school never had one get it correct. And my sister, she's older than me, she would tell you the exact same thing.
Well, my last name is Ship. You can use your imagination to how many people mess that one up when you make a phone call.
Yeah. What'd you say your name was?
Yeah, I'm not
exactly.
Gonna say that.
Especially when I give my rank as a detective and I go, "Hey, I'm Lieutenant Ship." What? I'm sorry? Yeah, okay. So going through, I know we got Woody Womack in there. He's popping in tonight. He was one of our.
Chris Womack's got nothing better to do than hang out with his buddies at 4 laps down.
Supposedly, somebody said he was supposed to be sick. So I'm seeing there. I don't know. Let's see. TJ Peters checking in. I know they're going back and forth. Frank Travers also in the chat. He's saying that. So I appreciate everybody. I mean, tonight has already gone amazing. So is it still kind of surreal? So let's go back to like Daytona. For you guys, it's Saturday. Unfortunately, you guys get rained out on qualifying. So you guys are going based off of that. But going back to that, when you show up to the track, because you guys aren't doing multiple days, start with that. So is it, and I've talked to a few people, is it different this year? Does it feel different with the single day shows? I know you guys kind of did it last year, but now you've already had a routine. Does it kind of feel routine now doing a 1 day show now?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we had all last year essentially practicing the 1 day shows. So, I mean, when you show up, you know exactly what you need to do. You know exactly where you need to go. I mean, it's the new normal. When we practiced at Daytona, that's when a lot of people was getting spun out because it's like, what do you do? What do you mean you got to roll through tech twice? What do you mean you got to actually practice? So, I mean, that's the weird part now is going to go back to these tracks where we have to actually practice because everything's like this.
Exactly. And I've heard this before, and it's always been a toss-up. And I'll ask you, are you a proponent of going back to the originals where you had a backup car that you guys had to build, so that was already on the truck instead of your one car that you've already stocked, and you have practice and qualifying, and then you have a practice again? Or are you a proponent of, well, look, I mean, it's worked now for months and months. We haven't had an issue. I know that this year they were wanting to do qualifying for these new tracks and the heat races and COTA we saw in Daytona, but does it start to become, you know what, it's working, we don't need to change it again, and plus it saves money.
It does. It saves a ton of money over the long run because, I mean, so we have three haulers. And for us to go to a normal race with practice and backup cars, we have to take all three haulers, and two of the haulers have to have a car loaded on the bottom, backup cars. Now we can take two haulers. So we don't need that third hauler. So, you're saving fuel, you're saving payroll on a truck driver and this and that. I mean, I'm really on the fence because I miss practice. I miss doing all that
Hmm.
because for the sheer fact when the race starts, if the race goes green and you only have your two stage brakes, you have three chances to adjust your car. That's it.
Hmm.
If you don't get it within those three chances, you're stuck with what you got. So practice pays off. But then on the other side of it, selfishly, I love the 1 day deals because I spend more time with my family.
Hmm.
I don't have to have another backup car. You know, it's not as stressful trying to get the primary done, get the backup loaded, get everything dynoed and out the door. You don't have to worry about wrecking a car in practice because, not saying your driver's going to wreck, but you never know what's going to happen.
Hmm.
People mess up, people make mistakes, stuff breaks, parts break, people, whatever. You don't have to, here's the big thing, you don't have to worry about wrecking and qualifying and only having 2 hours to get your backup ready.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm on the fence, but I agree with NASCAR's decision to, like, when we go to Coda, when we go to Nashville, we go to Phoenix at the end of the year. Let's practice. Let's get our stuff right. Because we're not the Cup guys. We don't get a tire test. We don't get all that extra practice.
Exactly. So do you think it helps so having a guy that you're on the box for Jeffrey? So Jeffrey's I will call him a veteran because he's been in Xfinity now for quite a while. Um I mean, what is it, 11 years, 10 years? No, 12 years. I'm sorry. So is it helpful with no practice and qualifying that you can turn to Jeffrey and go, okay, well, how this, he should know kind of how this track goes and we should know how the car goes. Is that kind of something you guys can lean on each other with? Because you do have the young guys like Colby and Ryan uh, that, are kind of getting their way going and stuff. But is that kind of helpful having that veteran like Jeffrey?
Yeah, it's a little bit easier on my mind because I don't have to worry about him trying to learn braking points or when to get back to the gas or whether to run the bottom or the top or this that. He already knows where he's going to run. You know, he knows where he's going to lift. He knows where he wants to get back to the gas. He can tell me what he needs the car to do. You know, nothing against Colby and Vargas. They're great in their own means, but they're learning all this as they go. You know.
Well, and especially some of those guys, I mean, they're just breaking in, so they don't know NASCAR before the COVID protocol with no qualifying, with no practice. I mean, so they're used to the 1 day shows and hit the sim during the week. So I feel like, what you're saying is super beneficial. Here's a guy in Jeffrey that he's ran these tracks, he's raced these tracks, he's ran these cars at these tracks. So you're not starting from square one with him. But I do wonder, how it affects the team. So obviously, having an experienced driver is one thing. How experienced is your team, and would you say that this has been better for your team cohesion as a whole, having the shorter days with better work-life balance, or do you think you guys, to a certain degree, would benefit more from having more time together?
I would say, as far as my guys on the zero, I would say we're okay because we mesh very, very well together. I've got a really good car chief that I brought in named Alex, and my tire guy Gabe. And I mean, I guess realistically, having the 1 day shows last year, the beginning of those 1 day shows, it was a complete cluster every week for everybody. Big teams, little teams, whatever. But I think the 1 day shows now has made everybody work harder because there's less time to get your stuff done. Everybody appreciates everybody that does whatever job they're doing. Like the tire guys, from the time we open the gate to the time we go to the racetrack, they're working their butts off the whole time. You know what I mean? So I would say I agree. I think it's brought us closer together because we know we have a job to get done in less amount of time. I think the practice day would be good for a lot of these younger guys that haven't done it as long because they don't know anything about it because they've never really had to do it.
Do you think that that's where it falls back and kind of what you were talking about prior to us going live with sim racing? I mean, do you think do you think as a crew chief, this is a legitimate resource to use for these drivers? Because all three, I know me and Nate do it. I don't know if you ever partake in it, but do you feel that's it is a useful tool?
Yeah, if I could figure out how to flip my camera, I'd show you my rig. It's parked right in front of
Oh,
me.
there we go. I
Um,
told you. I knew it. I knew it.
I've been spotting on iRacing for my tire guy, Gabe Wood, and he's been running that Monday night race.
Mm-hmm.
And we also ran a road to pro race last week in a truck, and I was crew chief and spotting for him on there. And truck was a little bit loose off here and there, whatever. So we made some adjustments, and those are actually the same adjustments I made this past weekend at Atlanta to help the car get better.
No
So
kidding.
I would say any amount of sim, whether you're driving, whether somebody's on the box spotting, just playing with adjustments, I think any of it helps personally.
So how long have you been involved with iRacing?
So I got into it 2016. Didn't have a rig, just played on a coffee table or whatever. Uh, really wanted to get back into it last year, just didn't have nothing. I had this old crappy rig, or as my wife called it, a ghetto rig.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible.
It was terrible, she says, if you can hear her.
Held by bungee cord and duct tape.
Yes.
Kinda. So we just moved into
550
this
cord.
nice new apartment. So she didn't want it up here. So I was like,
Mhm.
whatever, I can't get it. Da da da. Well, actually, my daughter bought me a rig for Christmas, and obviously she, had help from my wife. Don't tell her that. But
No.
they bought me a rig. I got a seat from the shop. It's an old Ryan Newman seat, and I've been playing pretty hardcore ever since Christmas. And Gabe, we get on every week. I spot for him. We race together. You know, I pretty much, if we weren't doing this tonight, not saying nothing against it, I'd probably be playing while watching this race on TV.
So you're in there. You're
He's-
hardcore. You're about
he's-
that. You're
he's-
about that life.
Oh yeah.
I try.
He made
Yeah.
all the purchases when he first got his log on credentials. He cleared the entire cart.
I mean, that's a lot. I mean, listen.
I wish.
I don't talk publicly
I would
about
not
how
be-
much I've spent on iRacing, but I did not.
Bro,
I did not clear the cart as Mr.
I've only
Shipman
had it
said.
for 3 weeks, and I'm like,
I told you. Listen.
you did.
Case, I tried to tell him. I said, "Man, listen, it's fun. You'll enjoy it, but your bank account will hate you once you start. It's like an Oreo.
Oh, God.
It's like an
So
Oreo.
glad,
You
I'm
have
so
to eat
glad
the
I
whole
got
package.
stimulated. I'm so glad I got stimulated.
Yep.
So,
And if you want to do all the cool stuff, you got to buy it.
you have to. So, have you done? So that brings me to my next point. That's a great segue. So Daniel has a broadcasting degree, and you can tell because he leads my ADD self into these beautiful segues. So that brings me to this. Have you done any of the Bristol Dirt since it's come out on iRacing? You have not.
My wife just asked me before we got on, and I haven't got on. I haven't bought it because me and Gabe, we've been focusing on Atlanta trucks because that was the Monday night race. That was Road to Pro. So we were running practice races and all kinds of stuff. But me personally, no, I haven't really done a whole lot of dirt because I'm not very good at it.
Yeah, I'm not super experienced at it either, but I can tell you I ran a couple when it first came out, and it's no joke. It's tough. I mean,
I've hit the
it
wall
is
every time coming out of 2, so
it
I
is
don't play it.
tough.
I can't do it.
So
Like real dirt cars, I'm fine. Just I can't do it on iRacing. I don't get it.
so you can run dirt
I guess I'm
tracks in
just
real
missing
life,
that link.
just not on iRacing.
Yeah.
What do you think's different? Because everything
Nope.
I've heard is that iRacing does a pretty good job of being as realistic as you could be. But what do you think the difference is?
I think I'm missing that connection between the feel of the car and your butt.
Yeah.
It's
that's
somebody
plain
had
and simple,
mentioned that.
I mean,
I think Clint mentioned that on the show tonight. He said it's that feeling that you can feel the car when that weight shifts and when to transfer back, on the brake, when you can feel that tire grinding in the track. That's exactly what he said tonight.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, you can't feel. I mean, I don't have a motion rig. It's just a regular rig, so I can't feel it move. All you see is the screen move.
mhm. What do you got? Another $5,000 sitting around to make it a motion rig?
Oh, there
Oh,
we
there
go.
he goes. Oh, that's no joke either. Daggone.
Honestly,
I like those dumbbells, man. Those are heavy weights you got there.
Stay focused here. We're looking at the rig.
Sorry.
oh
Sorry.
yeah.
Eyes are up here, Ship. Eyes are up here. So what do you think?
I had my assistant move the coat.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, hey, you always got to have one of those behind the scenes. Oh, there you go. So you said that used to be Newman's.
Yeah, that's a Ryan Newman seat pre-integrated seat belts.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Yeah. I got I think it's like a 32-inch or 29-inch Sharp TV that Ryan Vargas actually sold me.
Ryan Vargas. He's always looking for a deal, man. I love that deal.
Hey, man, I'm sure if he could have probably put it out there for a sponsorship, he could have slapped a sticker on the back of that TV.
Hey, so when we had Leighton on a couple weeks ago, it was the week after they signed Alvin Kamara's company to a sponsorship deal from Vargas's tweet. What a cool story, man. That must have been pretty cool to be at least adjacent to see that go on and everything. I mean, you guys obviously had the good fortune of locking up a season-long sponsor before the season. But it's got to be pretty cool to see that happen and see it go down. So I assume he's one of your buddies, TJ Peters. You know him?
Yeah, he works at the shop. We're all pretty good friends.
Cool. Yeah. So he's in the chat.
Actually, he works on Vargas' store.
Okay.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So he's in the chat. He says Earnhardt with a bunch of letters. I don't know how I'm supposed to.
He's like screaming it.
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah.
So
story time.
Okay.
Last year, before Vargas got his TikTok deal, he was my sign guy, and pushed the car around tech with me. Help bleed the brakes if we needed it, whatever.
Vargas was
so
or
he got
TJ
into
was?
this habit where Vargas was.
Okay.
Yeah, you can if you watch Vargas's Twitter, every once in a while he puts up a picture of him holding a sign. But that's for my car last year. And it just got into the habit where when Earnhardt would walk up, we'd just start screaming, Earnhardt! I don't know, just one of those silly things we do amongst the guys. And then now it's turned into where we're taking pieces of tape and writing Earnhardt on them and putting it all over his car and all over his pit stuff. So it's grown way too much, too fast.
Yeah. Is it ever weird when you're working with Jeffrey and you look up and you realize how much like his grandpa he looks? I mean, is he not a spitting image?
So he is. So for me, I don't really see it that way just because, when Dale was racing, I was young. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the other crew chiefs, Wayne Carroll, Colby's crew chief, he worked with Dale, for Dale. And he said the first time that he ever met him, he had to walk outside and smoke a cigarette because it hit him that hard of how much alike they are.
Mm.
So, I mean, and he said it still gets to him to this day because I guess him and Dale were friends or whatever, all that stuff.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I mean, I remember when Jeffrey was first coming up, and obviously, being part of that family, I mean, you're racing royalty, so you're going to get a spotlight on you. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. And I think, it's been pretty cool just to see Jeffrey embrace the fact that even more so, I mean, he looks more like him than Junior does. I mean, I think, and I think it's pretty cool to see him embrace that. And he wears that mustache sometimes, and and he gets the sunglasses.
Did you see the pictures from the Did you see the pictures from the throwback race last year?
No, I need to look.
I think I did. Let me see if I can pull one up and put it on the stream here for everybody. Let's see. Was that at Darlington?
Yeah, Darlington. We had the gold KSDT car.
Right.
And I know we have to wear a mask all the time, but they took a couple pictures without the mask. I don't know if they ever made it to the internet or not, but he cut his mustache just like his grandpa.
Is that where he's holding the sunglasses? No. That might be. And that's from his cup stuff. That's from when he was with the Monster Energy. He looks like it there. That's an older picture.
Yeah, I mean,
he's looking.
Yeah, there's a couple, but I mean, it's just pretty cool. I like that he's embraced that because that's a big shadow, but
I love that.
He's done. I think he's done a good enough job establishing himself, in his own right. But but he's not our guest tonight. You are. So let's talk more about you. How
long have you been growing the beard? I gotta ask. How long has the beard been growing?
So this one has been since I haven't shaved it completely in over a year since I left Morgan Shepherd's.
Wow.
I started growing my beard, I would say 2013, somewhere in that area, and I've only been without a beard 2 or 3 times. And then in 2019, I just let it grow. Like it got, I'd say 4, 5, 6 inches long. It was crazy. But now I try to keep it trimmed up and nice and proper and all that stuff.
So that you kind of led me to my next one, which was great. So you worked with Morgan Shepherd?
Yeah, I started over there February of 2019, and I promised him I'd do the whole year, and I did the whole year with him.
So what's he like? Because a lot of people don't realize he was a very good driver. Um, what was he like? I mean, he started every Daytona 500. I can always remember that, and the church paint schemes. I always remember.
Have you ever watched a movie with a grumpy old man?
Yes.
That is Morgan Shepherd. He is nice as he can be. He's very set in his ways. That's an understatement. Um, he kind of, it's his race car, it's his deal. He wants it done his way. But I mean, at the end of the day, he wants to be fast, and he is open to changes to the car to be fast. And that's pretty much how our relationship worked over there.
So, do you think that he'll be driving a race car till he's 187 years old?
Sadly, I don't. I mean, I
don't.
wish he could, and I know if he was in health, like 100% health, I'm sure he'd still be out there racing with us today.
Yeah,
We went
he
to
got in November. I think he got diagnosed with Parkinson's, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Morgan Shepherd is one of those names.
His last race.
Go ahead. Sorry.
His last race. I know he did Indy. That was his last one. But we went to Iowa a couple weeks before that, and that was the last time he drove like a full stage. And I had to go up and spot because it was just me, Alex, and Morgan pretty much, and like 1 or 2 other guys, but just regular guys. And I went up the spot, and he was running, and we stayed on the lead lap pretty much the whole stage. And he was like, "Man, this is the best car I've ever driven. I really wish I had got some tires and fuel so I could keep going." I was like, "Yeah." So I mean, that was the last time he's driven that many laps, and it was cool to hear him, as old as he is. No offense to his age, but as much history as he has behind him, being Morgan Shepherd, to hear him say, "Man, this car is really good," something that I put together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, Morgan Shepherd was one of those guys. I mean, to me, he's synonymous with NASCAR. I mean, because, he wasn't the guy. He wasn't necessarily known because he came out and won the most races or won the most championships or anything like that, but he was always there, and he was always relevant, and he was always part of the field. And, and I remember, 2 or 3 years ago, turning on an Xfinity race. I don't remember which one it was, and seeing him in the field, and I just smiled and thought, man, I love that he's still doing it because he still loves it and he still can, And when obviously when he finally had to hang it up, which I'm sure he would, if given the choice, would not have. It was a little sad because he's kind of one of those staples of racing. But I got to ask, so tell us the story of how you ended up getting hooked up with Morgan Shepherd.
So I did JP Motorsports 2018. I went to Obica for the last 4 cup races of that year. And Obica shut down the next year right before Daytona, funding issue. So I didn't have a job, just kind of putting out resumes, talking to people here or there. And then Brian Keselowski's wife, Jennifer, I cannot say her last name, so I'm not even going to try to butcher it. She posts a lot of, hey, this person's looking for a team member. This person's looking for a job, da-da-da-da. She posted that a team needed help. So I contacted her and said, hey, I'm available. What do you need? And then within 20 minutes, I get a phone call from a Hickory number, an 828 number, and it's Morgan Shepherd on the phone. So through Brian Keselowski's wife is how I got hooked up with Morgan Shepherd, essentially.
That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat.
Was it that? No, you're not Morgan Shepherd. No, I'm sorry. Can you believe somebody pranked me as Morgan Shepherd and then it rings again?
Yeah, it was kind of weird just answering the phone, and he's got this real deep, country, kind of thick country accent. He's like, "Hey, this is Morgan Shepherd." I can't do a real good impression, but and I was like, "Wait a second, there's no way he just called me."
That's funny. So, oh, go ahead, Chip. Sorry.
No, so you mentioned it when we first started. So when you growing up, you did what were you by Greenville Pickens? I think you said. I think you did. I think
Greenville and Anderson.
Anderson. So you come up through that short track race. So and I like these older tracks, and we had Doug Rice on the show last week from PRN. And I asked him about this. I mean, are you a short track buff? Are these older tracks? I shouldn't say short tracks, like these older track buffs. I mean, we've got Nashville. They've talked about Nashville Fairgrounds. I am by Rockingham. I'm 45 minutes away from Rockingham in Fayetteville. Told you I'd say it.
Mhm.
I just, what's your take on it? I mean, the more these older tracks slowly coming or being mentioned more.
I love short tracks. I mean, it's probably because I grew up going to one every Friday and Saturday night. You
Mhm.
know, the history behind Greenville Pickens alone, it's the second oldest track in the nation to Darlington. They've been running the same amount of time. Now it was dirt first and then switched to asphalt. And then running the ARCA circuit, you go to Salem, you go to Winchester, you go to Berlin, all these little hole in the wall racetracks that are some of the best racing I've ever seen. So I'd say, yeah, I mean, I wish Xfinity and trucks went to these little tracks because I don't know if a lot of these drivers today could handle it, you know?
No, and I mean, you see it more and more. I know, I think I've seen some ARCA stuff out at, I know, or late model stuff out at Hickory. We've got a dirt track here in my hometown, but I mean, we don't. It's nothing really small. But if you had the choice, are you a dirt or an asphalt guy?
Asphalt all day.
Okay.
Dirt's for growing taters.
Also, I was told. I think you said it before we came on. You don't want to wash off a car that's made to be on asphalt after it's been on dirt.
No, it's one thing if you build like a dirt modified or something of that nature, or one of those crate sportsmen's or whatever they call them series. But I mean, these stock cars we build, they're not meant to go on dirt. They're meant to go on asphalt tracks, get covered in rubber, and then come home and wipe them off and keep going.
Yeah, pressure. I don't feel like race cars are best served when you have to pressure wash them after you're done.
Nah.
All right, so where I kind of got back to, and I jump. I have ADD. Understand this case, so my thoughts click. They go throughout one ear or the other. So you've been doing it for a while. So let's go back to the first race of the year. Do you still kind of get awed when you're driving up, going through that tunnel of Daytona? I mean, does it still kind of get to you? I mean, you got this week off, but I mean, you guys go to Martinsville. I mean, that's a historic track as well. I mean, do you still kind of get that, damn, I can't believe I'm actually doing this. I'm about to go sit on a pit box and watch 40 cars go in circles, and I'm going to hopefully get a driver into victory lane.
I mean, every year we go to Daytona, you get off exit 361, I think it is, 361A, and you go around the little loop, and there it is, Daytona. I mean, every year the goosebumps come back. Goosebumps coming back right now talking about it. And I mean, you hit it nail on the head. Martinsville's got a real special place for me because I got married April 1st, 2017. I wasn't racing at this time, and we didn't have the money to go on a honeymoon. We were paying for a cruise. So we're like, screw it, we'll go to the Cup race. So my honeymoon was Martinsville, Virginia. Sitting up there, turn 4, just under the covered part. So yeah, when I sit on a pit box at Martinsville too, it's really special. The goosebumps hit me every time.
See, that's when you got a keeper of a wife right there. She's like, you know what? I want to go smell like rubber, gasoline, and listen to cars go really fast for 3.5 hours. Congrats, man.
Yep.
I give you an applause for that one.
100%. I appreciate it.
Hey, and speaking of a good wife, she's in the comments talking mighty swell about you and your work ethic, and I think it's awful sweet. that she would put that
Absolutely.
out there. So, Mariah, I read what you wrote, and I enjoyed reading that. I think it's great that that Case, that you've worked as hard as you have and been dedicated to both your family and your career. And I think it takes a hell of a guy to have his wife compliment him like that publicly, because most wives like to criticize publicly. So the fact that
Yeah.
she's speaking so highly of you, you must be doing a damn
Absolutely.
fine job. So hats off to you, sir. Hats off
There
to
you
you.
go, buddy.
So I got to ask you a little bit
I appreciate it.
about this Bristol Dirt Weekend. I know it's an off weekend for you, but I think by and large this is a little bit of a science experiment for NASCAR. We did the trucks at Eldora a couple of years, and that went okay. That was fine, and it was fun to watch. And you had some of your dirt guys come through and win, and but it's interesting to me to see them bring it to the Cup Series, skipping the Xfinity Series, by the way. But how do you think this is going to go this weekend? I mean, are you optimistic about how it's going to be? I mean, what do you think the product's going to be like?
Do you think that Fox has bought more time for after the race? Because there's no way they're going to get this thing in at 3 hours. That's what
No.
I think the race is going to be like.
And see, I've always said that the post race after the fact always needs to be longer, but I agree with you because it's what 250 laps. These
Mhm.
cars are not, there's no way these cars are going to come off of that track the same way they went on the track. They don't have a quick reset. They don't have a fast repair. Somebody is going to be down there, and you probably have told it at some point when you get a dag or something like that. Hey, go ahead and grab the hammer. Go ahead and have the sawzall, the bonding tape. Go ahead and get ready. Stand by the wall. We need a set. Go ahead and get it right there.
Cordless sawzall, always with a fresh battery,
Yeah.
ready to go.
Just don't be like Womack
I've
and
used
rip
it
off
one
the
too many
windshield wiper.
times.
Yeah, Womack had a good story about the salt.
So, funny story about a windshield wiper. You guys want a funny story about windshield wipers real quick before we go back to dirt?
Always.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we're at Road America last year, right? It's raining. So we're running around track. Jeffrey comes on the radio. The windshield wiper's gone. And I said, what? And he goes, the windshield wiper is gone. It's just the arm. I'm like, crap, I don't think we have a spare. I looked over at one of my guys. I said, go to the hauler and get the windshield wiper. And they're like, we don't have a spare. I was like, you're misunderstanding. Go to the Peterbilt and get the windshield wiper. So we went and we took the windshield wiper off the hauler, come under a pit stop, zip tied it to the arm, and finished the race with it, and then put it back on the hauler after the race.
I was going to ask you, did your hauler driver realize it was missing, but you said you put it back on?
So he was actually, our hauler drivers help us during the race, and he was helping me that race, hand in second can. And he goes, don't you go get my wiper blade. I said, it's too late, Brian. He's gone.
That's incredible.
So,
We've got a tied-in story for windshield. I'm sure we can find somebody else with a wiper story. That's 2 now out of 6 weeks.
I mean, what is it about windshield wipers at road courses that's got so? And I don't know if you know Chris Womack. He was the front end guy on Go Fast, and now he's the truck chief for the 9 truck. And
Cody Rodaball.
He was telling us about how he ripped the damn thing straight off the car. He was pulling a tear off at Daytona at the road course last year and ripped the entire arm off. And it's just crazy.
I remember he said he was holding it.
Yeah, he goes, I go to pull the tear off, and I'm holding the tear off in the wiper, and I just kind of look down at it and I think, oh shit.
It's gone.
Yeah. So, I mean, has anything like that ever happened, on your guys' pit box? I mean, just stories where it's like, oh shit.
Not in the Xfinity deal. We had a guy pull a tear off the other week, and when it did, it ripped, and it just stayed right there in front of Jeffrey. Like it
so it's just
crashed. So we're like, oh crap! So we had to send somebody back over the wall to get it. In 2014, we're doing an ARCA race, and I was changing tires along with car chiefing, and we had some crash damage. We got in the wall, so I go over to the wall at Winchester, and I go to pull the right front fender and everything back out of the tire, and I accidentally ripped the entire door off this car. Because the welds and everything had broke, I ripped the whole door off this car. National television, here I am, just pulling the door off. And I was like, well, time to go. Cut it off and kept going.
Oh no. So who was your driver during that deal?
Carl Weber. He was a kid out of Indiana. He's a corn farmer.
Yeah. What is about farmers driving fast? I mean, you got Ross Chastain. I mean, Clint Boyer's from Kansas. You got some farm boys out there that know how to wheel.
I guess they get tired of driving their tractors all slow all the time.
Fair enough. So, all right. So we're going to turn to the chat here, but we are eventually going to get back to dirt at Bristol. But I got to turn to the chat here. One of our favorite parts about doing this live on Facebook is we get interaction from our listeners, from our audience. So Frank Travers is talking about a couple weeks ago, there was a series of really good dad jokes that you were telling Jeffrey on the radio. Talk to us about the dad jokes, and are they going to come back at Martinsville?
So pretty much what happened is we had a part failure at the beginning of that race, and it made the car go stupid loose. And Jeffrey got into this state where he was just mad because there was nothing we could do to the car to fix it. So I used those jokes to get him back into a better mood, and it worked because we drove back up to 19th, because it got his head, back into a better place or whatever. As far as the dad jokes coming back, probably not going to come back because we probably should just be a little bit more serious on the radio than that. But I mean, and it made the car. I'm not going to throw it out of the realm of possibilities.
I mean, you got to remember what FS1 is always listening, and who knows when they're gonna go. Let's go to the 00 and let's listen to their strategy. And there's Kase going, "Hey, do you know what you call a cow with no legs?"
What do you call a cow with no legs?
I'm going to resist it. I'm not going to say it.
He wants. It's ground beef, man. Come on.
It's ground. You say that like it's a given that I would know that.
It is.
What,
it's
just because I have 5 kids, I'm supposed to know every dad joke on the planet? Is that what that? Am I failing in life because I don't?
I mean, your dad jokes should be 5 times funnier than anybody's.
Thank you.
They are.
He's got a good point.
But so
Call a sleeping bull.
Tanisha says I'll have to find Kase some more dad jokes this weekend.
Yeah, we'll start getting a playbook together.
There you go.
There you go.
The dad jokes playbook. So here's what I want. By the end of the year, I want Radioactive to be able to do an entire 5-minute episode of you telling Jeffrey dad jokes, and I'm gonna tweet them and tell them, be sure to listen into the dad jokes on the radio.
Listen to the 0 in stage 2 when they're warming up them tires after the stage break. Kase is gonna drop a good handful of jokes.
Between dad jokes and yelling at the pit crew, we could have Radioactive every week.
There you go. So
you're on. So I sent you a picture, Nate. Did you see that picture I sent you? So I don't. JD Motorsports or Leighton had. I guess one of the girls, Terry Bennett, I guess took pictures from behind the pit wall at you guys at Atlanta, and there is a picture of the guy, one of your pit crew. He is laying on the hood, trying to reach up to get that tear off. So that was the I guess that's where the tear off got stuck.
Oh, yeah, I see it now. I think let me try to put that up so the chat can see it.
That's not from that.
Uh-oh. It looks like there's maybe a story behind that.
There's a lot of stuff on the
That's
roof.
from the Sun. How about this? The Sun 1, Jeffrey literally 0.
Oh, no.
Because the Sun was so bad. I mean, everybody's seen the Daniel Hemrick, Noah Gragson deal.
Right.
Yeah.
The same thing happened in our pit box. Everybody missed the pit boxes where we were at. Jeffrey missed his box. Well, it just so happens that our jackman was standing right there.
Oh, that's him getting
so
run
he actually
over.
hit the guy.
Oh, he's getting hit. That's the jack on the roof.
So Daniel.
Yeah, that's the jack on the roof.
Oh, yeah.
So Daniel, you're a cop, Daniel. So in your industry, because Jeffrey left the scene about 30 seconds later, that's
a hit and run.
That's what's known as
physical.
That's called a hit skip.
Yeah, was there physical injury to the jackman, or was he able to continue?
No, everybody was a-okay. They
Okay.
actually finished. He jumped off the car and finished the stop.
Wow.
So
So I
just
mean,
leaving the
everybody's
scene after an
okay.
accident. That's fine.
Like,
That's fine. It's a citable
Yeah.
offense. He's fine.
the crazy thing is he parked in the box enough for us to change tires right there.
Wow.
All right, so I got to ask,
I'm-
how
I'm
close
I'm
were
putting
you?
hold on, I'm putting the picture up on the screen here real quick, so we'll be hidden for a quick second, just so our viewers at home can see.
Yeah, I do want them to see that.
This
That's
is
crazy.
so. All right, so you'll see here. This is their jack man. Okay, he's laying on. It looks like he's just taking a nap, but this is because this picture's in real time. You can see on the roof there, the jack is actually.
Yeah, that's right there.
Yeah, the jack is on the roof because him got runned over.
I will say that is a very creative pit sign. That's one of the more creative ones I've seen. Basically, like a, hey, your stop is here.
Oh, the arrow.
Yeah, Vargas wasn't swinging that one.
No, he was
No.
not. No, he was not. So back to Bristol Dirt.
I'll just say.
Oh, go ahead.
I'll just say the athleticism of our pit crew guys, because he didn't get hit and rolled, like
No,
he
was
jumped
not.
on the
No, he
hood,
was not. So
so
Well,
he was
that's
able
what
to.
you're- That's definitely
he
what
was
you're
able to
supposed to do.
clear.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, props to those guys to have the, I guess the readiness. I don't know the word.
Mhm.
Awareness. I guess that's the word. Awareness to hey, I'm probably gonna have to jump on top of this car right here.
I love your wife's comment. I love it.
what we've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty.
Oh my God.
Do you get
That's a good one.
do you get the dad jokes from Mariah? Be honest.
I love it.
I feel like Mariah probably can
Yes,
tell a
I
dad
do.
joke.
Oh yeah.
Hey, how close were you to either Noah Gragson or Daniel Hemrick's pit box?
We were on the other side.
Okay, so you didn't.
We
see
were
that.
pit stall 31, and they were up there and inside the top 10 or somewhere in that area.
Oh, okay.
So based on, I'm going to ask you this question. If you don't want to answer it, just say, I plead the fifth.
Plead
Based
the
on
fifth.
what you saw,
Would you be mad?
did Noah back into Hemrick on purpose?
I don't know.
That's
To
fair.
me, I don't think so, because
Okay.
he never left. I mean, yeah, the tail hit him, but he never left the box, his box.
Right.
Hemrick was really far forward. Could the crew chief have told him to stop, or was he telling him to stop? I don't know, probably. But I mean, I don't know. I can see fault on both sides, and I can see why both of them are mad.
Yeah. Well, it's been a long time since I've seen a NASCAR driver bob and weave like Hemrick did, though. I'll say
Bro,
this. I'll say
that was-
this. If old boy was looking for a fight, he sure was ready for one because he was ready to go. But I'm not sure Noah Gragson.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure Noah Gragson live on television is the type of guy that I want because I feel like he's going to turn up for the crowd and he might catch you sleeping. Just ask old Harrison Burton at Kentucky last year. But so back to so I won't dig at you on that because I know you're really probably not supposed to comment on that at all. So we'll leave that one alone. But I want to talk a little bit more about Bristol Dirt. So I had asked you before, and then we kind of rabbit holed before we got to talk about it. But you had mentioned that you think that Fox is going to need more time, right? That you don't think they're going to get 250 laps in 3 hours. That's going to be great because I'll be there, and I'm going to make sure I've got enough Busch Light to last the whole race. So if it goes 5 hours, 6 hours, we're getting in a car and driving back into Ohio after the race, and I'm not driving, so I don't care. I'm going to sleep. But outside of the time, how do you think the product is going to stack up? Do you think it will be something that NASCAR is going to see and view favorably? But more importantly, do you think the fans are going to view it favorably?
I believe that it is going to be everything they intended it to be. I think there's going to be action. I think there's going to be slide jobs. There's going to be wrecks. Everything that NASCAR and NASCAR on Fox or whoever is trying to put on as product, I think is going to work. As far as the actual racing, I think it's going to be okay, but I don't know. There's going to be a lot. I'll be able to tell you more after practice because these cup cars, they don't have a ride height rule. So what ride height do you go there with? You know, I mean, do you go there dragging the track bar off the track? Do you go there, do you put big springs in it like they do on the ARCA cars and stuff like that? I mean, I don't know. So, I mean, I think for what they're trying to do, like I just said, is I think it's going to work personally. And I think there's going to be more dirt races going forward. And I don't know about Xfinity, but I would say within the next couple of years, we'll probably be there.
So you anticipate Bristol Dirt becoming a permanent fixture on the spring schedule?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. And how much are you looking forward to pressure washing your car after Bristol Dirt in a couple years when Xfinity goes there, or next year if you end up on a Cup team?
So I'm hoping if I'm still doing Xfinity at that point, that I'll just be sitting in the office looking out the window as somebody pressure washes it.
There you go.
There you
He's got the blinds going.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing it. They're doing it.
Yeah. I've had my fair share of putting on rain jackets and crawling up under there with a pressure washer and pressure washing ARCA cars and trucks and stuff like that. Not saying I still wouldn't get out there and do it, but it's just one of those things where the car's going to come back tore up. Like you can just go ahead and count, like going to Martinsville. We're putting all this work in these nice brake fans and this and that. And I look over at my car chief and I said, not one of these brake fans is probably going to come back because we're probably going to use the nose the whole time.
So let me, you got the schedule out, which let me ask you, and it'll be a two-part answer because I know we're going on almost, no, we're actually doing pretty good. So give me a track that you've already been to that you're looking forward to, and a track that you haven't been to yet this year that you've never been to that you're excited about.
So a track that I've been to this year, or just in
no, a
general?
track that you've been to before as a race team that you are looking forward to racing. I mean, I'm talking like Pocono or Talladega or Darlington, Dover, regular races that you've been to. And then, of course, you've got new tracks that have been added to this year that you're looking forward to.
So can I name two tracks that I want to
Absolutely.
go to?
You know what? You can. I will make an exception, and you can do that tonight.
You're the guest, so you can do whatever the damn hell you want to do.
So Texas Motor Speedway owes me one.
Ooh.
And because we were running so good there at the end of the year last year, that last restart happened. We were passing for sixth place. And, for JD Motorsports, anybody, sixth place is freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And the gear literally blew up.
Oh no!
It broke. It launched a tooth out the housing and leaked all the fluid out. 3 laps to go. And then, so that place owes me a top 10. And I'm really excited to go back to Richmond because going into Richmond last year, Jeffrey said that wasn't one of his best tracks. And we go there and run top 15, almost top 10 both races. So I'm really excited to go back there. And as far as a track I haven't been to, a lot of the older people in the sport talk about Nashville Super Speedway. Kind of excited to go there. Have no idea what it's going to be like, except for probably ripping the tread off the tires.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's going to be a fun one, especially with our aero package. We got no spoiler, big horsepower, no grip. Like, that's going to be a fun race.
Just let it go and hope. Just hang on.
Yep.
It's like Cleater says, let her rip, tater chip.
So, and I always want to pick because it's always interests me. So, like with COTA coming up, or like Mid Ohio or Road America, for those road courses, do more people get involved with those kinds of things? Like with COTA, you don't even know what the hell to expect. I know that they did tire tests out there, but I don't think, as far as Xfinity, they haven't really done anything. So you're going out there in a blind eye, hoping Jeffrey's playing on the simulator, and you're doing it as well, going, okay, well, that works. But because I also know who said that you were going to be a spotter, Nate? Which team said they were going to let you be a spotter?
I told Leighton, because Leighton's telling us about when Garrett Smithley was driving for JDM, and they told him like day of, hey, by the way, you're going to spot for Garrett in this one corner of Mid Ohio. And I told him, I said, hey, I'm only about an hour and a half to 2 hours from Mid Ohio, so if you need a spotter, call me. So I don't. He probably won't, but I don't know. Was
You
there?
never know, man. Keep your phone on.
I'm not.
There you
Hey,
go.
listen. I'm not kidding you. I'll jump in if anybody I know is on iRacing. I'll stop what I'm doing and go spot for them. I think it's the funnest thing ever. It's a blast. I love it. But if you want to call me, I'm in. Let me know.
Are you
Save
gonna have
your
your
number.
clear plastic bag of Busch Light while you're in turn 9?
You know what? I've never spot before, so I say this from a position of potential ignorance, but I feel pretty confident when I say that I'm not real sure that they would allow a clear bag with ice in it and Busch Light on the spotter stand. I don't think that's part of the deal. I think maybe afterwards. I think if I don't clear him into a 3 wide mess at some point, then maybe I'll be allowed to drink a Busch Light afterwards.
Yeah, I feel like you'd probably get removed after you're doing. Hey, I'm on shotgun number 3, and we're only in stage 1.
Yeah. Jesus. See, you're ruining my chances right here, because Case is going to walk away from this saying, yeah, right. I'm not being the guy that's like, hey, let's call this guy. He's going to shotgun this. Hey, we'll be on NASCAR Chasm for all the wrong reasons on Twitter. But was there a question in there, Ship, or did you just want to talk about me potentially being a spotter one day?
No. It was just kind of the aspect of with these tracks. Are you preparing earlier than you do for tracks that you've already been to? Like, have you already started working on COTA or Nashville now, even though it's a couple weeks, months away?
So I've already got a plan on what I'm going to do to the car for Nashville, because it's the same car I'm going to run at Darlington. As far as COTA, I was actually working on the road course car today. Got the rear end back, putting it all together. We have a gentleman at the shop named Spud. That's his name. I don't know his real name. He does a lot of simulation racing with R Factor, which is the same base that all the teams use in their sim work. And he can go in and he's changed everything around on the computer to where it's pretty much our Xfinity car. And he'll go home and he'll run 100 laps. He'll turn on the AI driver so he can go eat dinner, do whatever he's got to do. But he'll go run 100 laps. I'll give him a list of changes to do just to see what's better, what's worse. And he'll come back and be like, here's the lap times with the track bar change. Here's the lap times with the spring change. And we did that for the Daytona road course this year. And I felt that even though we had misfortune on lap 1, I felt that made our car better because Jeffrey's feedback told us kind of what we were already expecting.
Right. I mean, that's good. That's great. Technology's come a long way. Technology's come a long way. I mean, it used to be, Larry Mack trying to convince Dale Sr. to go jump in a car and run some laps midweek in a test car, and him getting out of it and making Mike Dillon do it. That was the extent of the research and lap times and handwriting it down in memo pads. Now you have a guy named Spud, real name still unknown, jumping in and firing up a simulator and being able to tell you, hey, if you adjust the track bar this way, it's going to do this to the lap times. If you take a quarter round out, or put one in, or a couple rounds on the wedge. I mean, I don't turn wrenches, so I'm just talking out my ass here. But if you do this, if you do that, it's going to do this and that to the lap times. I mean, how much of a game changer is that for you as a crew chief? And have you thought about what it must have been like when you didn't have that technology?
I think personally, just having someone like Spud to lean on, because he's got years of experience. He worked for Phoenix Racing for the entire time that they were open, essentially. And just having him run through those sims and do changes and stuff, I think that just helps me because I've never been to some of these tracks. Like last year, went to a couple tracks for the first time. Mid-Ohio, I've only been to one time. Road America 3 times. Stuff like that. I don't have a big notebook like Wayne Carroll and these other crew chiefs I work with. So I essentially have no notes. I'm trying to build everything from scratch. So, I mean, kind of even just having one page of these adjustments worked on the sim is better than going there with nothing,
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I echo that because, I mean, you think about, we said it. Look at Larry. Excuse me, Larry Mack, who's up in the booth. He's got all this knowledge and digital pieces of evidence to work on and get this information for. And back in the day, I mean, he's getting probably printouts and information on a 8x11 piece of paper that shows how fast they are in turn one. Whereas now the SMT data, which is incredible, that you guys can realize, okay, where is he missing in throttle in turn one or throttle in turn two? That from what I'm hearing and reading, SMT data is the biggest thing that people have been able to kind of use to better the drivers themselves to fix them. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, on our Xfinity cars, we're not running that because we don't run any data acquisition. But on the Cup cars, those short 4 races I did with Tanner Berryhill and David Starr, we had all of that. We could tell where their throttle chase was, where their brake chase and all that stuff. So I mean, it helped position the feedback to what the car is actually doing when we could line them up together and be like, hey, you say it's doing this, but you're not in the throttle. Why not? Like give me more feedback in this little area. So, I mean, that helps a ton. And then I wish we could still do testing. Like, Xfinity Series, we can't just go test at Motor Mile or wherever. So, I mean, I wish we could still do that just to work on things because that would help a ton too, especially, little teams.
So, changing gears a little bit, and then we're going to get into the fun part where we ask you about some funny stories that you can tell us. I'm calling BS that you don't know Spud's real name. And the only reason I am is because Mariah tagged him in the comments.
Let me guess. Somebody told you.
Our assistant told us that she came to us and provided us with the information. It was just on a piece of paper. I got it right here. It was great.
No, your wife tagged him in the comments. So, Spud, if you see this or if you're watching this,
I'm sure,
and you want to come on our show and talk to us and tell us stories and teach us about setting up race cars, we'd love to have you. But with that being said,
I really hope Spud's not awake.
I don't know if he is. He didn't chime in, but Mariah tagged him. She said we love Spud and tagged him. His name's Kevin, by the way. And Frank Travers says we got a secret weapon named Spud. So Frank is very, very happy to learn about Spud. So over the years, I mean, you've done a lot. I mean, you're 29. You're definitely not the oldest guy on pit road. In fact, you're one of the younger guys from a crew chief standpoint. What are some of the most memorable moments that you've had? I mean, is there any like one or two in particular, whether it be Xfinity, ARCA, anything that just really stand out to where if somebody asks you 50 years from now, tell me one story from your days working on race cars that's like the greatest story. What story would that be?
So this is kind of a funny story. When I worked for JD Motorsports, we were at Charlotte, and everybody's family comes to Charlotte because we all live down here in this area. And I've taken my daughter to short track race here, cars tour race here, whatever. So I got her a hot pass and brought her in, and we took her through tech, and all the officials loved it, and they were letting her do tire pressure and this and that. I'll just always have that memory of that day of, without really getting into it too much, of flying by tech with no problems is how I'll put it, because she was there distracting everybody.
Fair enough. So they,
and it's it's a heartwarming story, but kind of also funny at the same time.
Yeah. So they didn't notice all of the buckshot in the metal frame, like was Darrell Waltrip used to say.
The 10-pound bag worth of lead.
Yeah.
And then they got the little thing underneath that'll slowly release as you're driving.
Yeah. Did you happen to catch when Darrell Waltrip was on Dale Jr. Download? He's talking about they got the little metal BBs that they put in the frame of the car, and he's got a little button that starts scattering them all over the track once they get going. Did you ever hear about that? That look tells me. Yeah, I heard Darrell talk about that. Next question. So we're gonna move on. So that's cool. So how old was she at the time? I mean, talk about a cool experience for her.
She would have been six at the time.
Okay.
Maybe 5, just turned 6, right around that area, because it was in like September, October. It was the fall race.
Yeah.
Still hot enough to be hot, but cool at night.
Yeah. What a memory for her. I mean, that's got to be something she'll talk about for a long time. And for you, too. I mean, obviously, me being a dad, I can tell you, when you get to do something that you love and you get to involve your family doing it, I mean, how cool is that, right? Um, so,
Oh yeah.
I can attest to that because I'm taking. So normally we only do one race a year, me and my son. So we did the Roval last year. So we're gonna do the Coke 600 this year. Well, earlier this week, me and him talked, and we are coming for the Saturday race. So we'll be there for y'all's race.
Cool. That'd be a good experience. Get up with us while you're out here. Come see the shop or something if you want to drive all the way down to Gap.
Yeah, I'll get up with you.
so,
Yeah. So, question about the Roval, if I got time.
yeah.
Have your clothes dried out yet?
So when we went, we did not go to the Xfinity Roval. We went to the Cup Roval. And I know I saw it, and that's what we expected when we went up there the next day. Because as we're driving, it's super overcast. It's really dark, and we're like, shit, you know what? We're about to get poured on. I said it's going to be the same thing as it was yesterday. I mean, luckily, I hate y'all had no lights on the infield. I think they had some emergency lights that were set up. I mean, I think I think my ring light was giving off more light than turn 3. So. So we get there. We're right there by the chicane on the front stretch. We're literally right there, and we're sitting there. My son's got his poncho. He's 6, and my mother and my stepdad are there. And we're sitting there. We're going, all right, we're about to get rained on, and then it starts to sprinkle. And we're like, all right, they're running rain tires, and then it stops, and we're like, well, now it's starting to get hot. Well, let's take the ponchos off. All right, cool, ponchos are off. Now we're in short sleeves. My son's taking off his long sleeve shirt. Completely different weather. How did you feel? Are they dry?
Yep. No, my shoes, my truck, my umbrella, the race car is still wet. It was the worst rain I've ever been in my life. And I'm just sitting there on the pit box holding an umbrella because I didn't have a cover on my pit box. Not like close the TVs, my phone's in my pocket, radio I'm holding like right here on my chest. And I'm just like, every once in a while I'd come on the radio and be like, all right, you're doing all right here. And then just jump off the radio and just let them work. Just sat there in one spot the whole time. It was so bad.
Are you a fan of rain racing?
If I could have stayed in the hauler, yes.
You could call it from the truck. Hey, man, you look good on TV. Once they show you again in a couple laps, I'm sure you're still going to be doing good.
The sad thing is, that was our best finishing position of the year in the freaking pouring ass rain. And we literally, like, our game plan going down there was just to finish the race because we had no expectations. We don't want to tear up a car in the rain. And we just rode and rode and rode. And then the last restart, him and Chris Lambert were like, well, we're going to go for it right here. And I was like, shoot, I don't care. Go for it. And we ended up finishing 11th. And I'm just like, okay, cool. We'll do this next time we come down here.
Yeah, it was a good finish. I remember that race and thinking, man, you could not pay me enough to be sitting on top of a pit box right now down there.
All I remember is they had the drains in the middle, and you could just see the whirlpool of the rain just running down the drain. And then they'd hit it. Oh,
yeah, it was pretty wild. I mean, it was pretty wild. But I was told to ask you about your HR department. Somebody in the chat, I can't remember who it was.
It's probably your assistant, or it could be TJ. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's one of those. So going back to like bringing your kids, I bring Bailey to work with me. Bailey's my daughter.
Right.
I bring her to work with me pretty much on the regular. Like y'all know how the school thing's going nowadays. Some days they go to school, some days they have remote learning, whatever. So if she's got remote learning and nobody can watch her, I just take her to work with me, and everybody at the shop loves her. She works on the cars with me. Sometimes she, for lack of a better term, she hazes some of the guys there. She loves pulling the wrap off the cars whenever it's, pull wrap day, and putting them in the little balls and throwing them. And everybody, we all have a fun time. We still get our work done. Don't get me wrong. But Curtis, Johnny's son, started calling her HR department. If you got a problem, you have to take it up with Bailey. So it's just turned into a big joke of the shop.
That's funny.
Get her a shirt. Get her a little name tag.
Yeah. HR manager.
Yeah.
I could just see her. I could just see her walking through the shop with like glasses and like leaning over. You call that a TIG weld? Psh, walking off.
She's got a clipboard. Okay. I'll see you next Tuesday.
Yeah. Somebody's not getting a raise this year.
Nope.
She gives our tire guy, Gabe Wood, absolute hell. So she'll walk by him. He'll be putting a rear end in or a fuel cell. She'll walk by and be like, "Are you going to be done today? Like, what is going on here?" And I'm just like, "Bailey, like, leave him alone." And she's like, "No, he needs to pick it up." And I'm just like,
Oh my
I
God.
don't know where she must have got it from her mama or something.
Oh God.
There you
So
go.
you're telling me? So she's how old? 7, 6?
8.
Oh, she's 8.
Turns
okay.
9 in October.
Turns 9 in October. So this 8-year-old type A personality is walking through the shop, whipping your guys into shape. I mean, that you got to be better off for having her around, right? I mean, you got to keep bringing her. Like, school goes back full time, just start
Production's
homeschooling her.
up. Oh my gosh. So she has had trouble. 1 year she broke her elbow playing on monkey bars.
Oh,
Like literally the next year she broke her wrist. And then 6 months after that, she just got done. She chipped her thumb. And it's funny because, Brian Barry jokes around with her a lot at the shop. And one day I walked in, I said, "Well, Bailey broke her wrist." He goes, "Where'd she do that?" I said, "At school, playing basketball. She fell down." He goes, "Well, you just need to tell your wife you just need to bring her here every day because she doesn't get hurt here."
you know what? That's true. That's true.
It is true.
So we got a couple people chiming in the chat. Mariah says that you hate being wet, especially your feet. No joke. He packs 20 pairs of socks every week. Is that true?
I don't think I even own 20 pair, to be honest with you. I've got if I'm not wearing flip-flops, I'm wearing my work boots. So I got like
Do you
5
not wear
pairs
socks
of
with your work boots, you weirdo?
No, that's what I'm saying. If I'm not wearing flip-flops, I wear work boots. I don't have that many pair. We do laundry here at least twice a week.
Listen, Case, I'm standing in unity with you on the wet feet issue. No, thank you.
Yeah,
no, thank you.
I feel like his philosophy with okay, so he wears his boots all the time. So when he's not wearing his boots, he wants to wear flip flops.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like that with pants. I have to wear pants at the racetrack, week in and week out, 95, 100 degrees, whatever. So if I'm in like regular clothes, shorts all the time.
Yeah,
I do not wear pants
right
unless I'm at the racetrack.
Nobody wants to see them pasty legs. Put that down,
right
Dave.
there with you.
Hey,
whoa!
Why don't you hit a leg day, son?
Hey, I've got calves. Okay, that's all I need.
Calf,
I got
please,
calves.
please. You drive.
Hey, North Carolina, it's finally warming up. Here where we're at, I think it was like 76 today. It's going to be like 80s all week. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm about to be out in the backyard.
Yeah. Anyway. So getting back to the chat, Dan says even though you get wet socks, you still wear the same shoes. Alex Bird, I think talking about Gabe, called him Chicken Man. I don't know if there's a story
because
there.
no, Frank said that he's surprised that Gabe's picking up something other than fried chicken.
I was trying to go one podcast or one interview without talking about this.
Oh, we're
All
going
right.
to get it.
Come on. Hey, you can go one, but it ain't going to be this one. Spill it.
It ain't going to be this one.
Okay. So I have to make this story, I guess, friendly. So there's a house across the street from Johnny Davis Motorsports.
Not on our behalf, you don't. We're a
No, you don't have to if you don't have to.
So you're good. But clean it up as
We
much
had
as
to
you
with
want
Mr.
to.
Doug. We had to with Mr. Doug. But
That's
Mr.
true.
Doug is a certain way.
We did.
So
We did.
go ahead.
So I'll make it real short. So Gabe lived at the house across the street from the shop, because Johnny owns a house. If you move down there, because Gaffney's far away from Mooresville, if you move down there while you're looking for a place to live, you can stay at the JD house, right? So he gets off work one day. He goes to Bojangles. He buys some chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess one of the truck drivers was staying there too and got home and was looking for Gabe and opened up his bedroom door. There he is sitting on his bed with no shirt on, eating a bucket of chicken. So you know how it goes. People have just taken this joke and ran with it. And I'm not going to go into detail, but just use your imagination.
So
like a Silence of the Lambs kind of thing, where he's just like in the mirror, and it's playing, Goodbye Horses in the background, and he's holding the bucket.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, and I'm sure if Gabe was on right now, he'd be defending himself like crazy.
Yeah.
But
Mariah tagged him, so maybe he'll jump in. I don't know. Hey, listen, she's been good for viewership because she's tagging people all over the place. All over the place. It's been great.
Wasn't there another one to ask?
Let's see here. So,
I must have asked about Joy. I don't know.
Tanisha says shorts at all times is true. There was a question somewhere that I'm not.
I think it said Mike Joy.
Oh, that was so. Frank said something about he missed when Freddie Kraft. He said, I missed Freddie Kraft and Lambert spotting for Jeffrey, and I responded and said that Freddie has agreed to be on our show later this year. And Frank said, make sure you ask him about his buddy Mike Joy. So just teasing old Freddie Kraft there a little bit. But yeah, so we'll have Freddie on at some point this year. We've got to work out dates. He's obviously a very busy man, so we've got to figure out his schedule. But we've had a lot of fun. We are getting close to running out of time here. We got about 3 to 4 minutes left, but I want to give you an opportunity, and if it takes a little longer, 3 to 4 minutes, that's okay. But I want to give you an opportunity to talk to our viewers at home if there's any types of projects or special causes that you are that you've got on your mind here recently, or anything you're involved with. I mean, is there anything that you want to make sure our viewers at home are aware of, whether it be directly involved with NASCAR or not involved with NASCAR? Or, I mean, what can you tell us?
I mean, I'm not really involved in a whole bunch, but just some things that hit close to home is, I really like to see people take care of themselves, do what you need to do. Like I've got some family members right now going through some health issues, and it's probably more or less because of choices in their life, but I want to see younger generation, if there's any listening, take care of yourself young. If you feel like you need to go to the doctor, you need help, like especially mental issues, like not saying that's bad by any means, but like don't be afraid to admit something, talk to your friends, don't ever go through anything alone. I mean, I've been through stuff that I wouldn't have made it through without my wife, stuff like that. I've got a really good friend that a couple people in here know, and he's went through some stuff, and I really, he's asked for help and he's gotten help, and it's just that kind of stuff hits close to me. Anybody that might have heart disease in their family needs to get that stuff checked out. And I know my wife's staring at me right now because I need to go because of my family issues. But I mean, just everybody needs to take care of themselves, take care of your friends, take care of one another. I'm not going to go too crazy with all that stuff, but just help everybody. I wish the world would listen to that, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can echo that with you, being in the profession that I'm in, is that don't let pride get in the way of reaching out and admitting for help. Because, and with guys don't want to. Guys want to battle it out and say, nope, I'm good. I'm fine. I'll make it through. But at the end of the day, I've seen it way too often than not. Anybody will be there for a listen.
Yeah, I think that's an important message. Kase, we've had a lot of fun tonight, man. This has been one of my favorite episodes. You've been great.
God, this was great.
We appreciate you coming on. I mean, like I said, kind of before we went live, there's a lot of useless stuff any of us could be doing tonight, but you decided to come hang out with us, and all these people in the chat and watching from home and listening from home live on Facebook at 4 Laps Down. Y'all chose to hang out and spend a little time with us, talking racing and life and fried chicken, half naked in front of the mirror. I mean, I heard
always, he likes to. I think somebody said he likes to splash around in puddles too.
Oh no!
Somebody said that.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Case is just saying,
yeah.
Look what I've done.
That was probably Dan Schaefer, one of my spotters from the years that knows Gabe.
Yeah,
oh gosh! I mean, we we just scratched the surface on story. I mean, I know I've only been doing this professionally for 7 years, 8 years, but we just scratched the surface on stories and funny things and people I've met. I mean, this is just a fun industry to be a part of. It's hard work. Don't get me wrong. Like, you've got to be dedicated. Like, if you can't be dedicated, this isn't the sport for you. But I mean, if you do it and you meet a good group of people like I'm a part of now over at JD Motorsports, I mean, it's fun. It's fun every day going to work.
Well, the good thing is you have left the door open, and we will absolutely appreciate having you back on absolutely later on in the season or during the off season, and we'll do this all over again.
Yeah, man. Just if you ever get in a point you need a guest or somebody, I mean, contact me or any of the guys on the crew or, whatever. I mean, I'm sure any of us would love to come on and hang out, and I feel like we could make really good friends out of this,
Oh, absolutely. And I'll be sure to get up with you. Let's see, May 29th. I'll shoot you a message. I'll be down there in Charlotte for the Alcos 300. So I'll get up with you.
Yep, pretty excited. We've got a pretty good bullet in the chamber going to that one.
Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and get I'll order my Jeffrey Earnhardt shirt. Don't think I won't.
How do I order?
Okay, cool. That'd be great to see you up there.
How do I order a Crew Chief Kase shirt?
You want a Crew Chief Kase shirt? That's a good one.
I've got some black shirts laying around that I could just write my name on and send to you. That's pretty much all I got.
Could you imagine I'm opening
Hey, if you put it in like white use electrical tape. Just kind of spell it out.
There you go.
You make it work.
There you go.
Whatever you want, made to order.
I'm sure somebody out there knows somebody with Etsy somewhere that can screen print something.
He aims to please. That's for sure.
I'm pretty sure my good buddy Terry Elmore just started a screen printing business. It's like 689 Inc. There's a plug for you.
Ooh, hey.
689 Inc. There we go.
689.
Yeah, go check that out. Name's Terry Elmore. I mean, you never know. Maybe we get shirts made there.
Hey, Crew Chief Kase, let's go. I like the sound of it.
Crew Chief Kase.
So, well, listen, Kase, we're gonna wrap things up here. I appreciate you coming on. And definitely stay in touch with us. Best of luck to you this season. You guys have had a pretty fast ride here the first couple races, and a couple straight top 20 finishes for you. And I look for things to get even better for you as the weeks come. So appreciate you coming on the show, and we will catch up with you later.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Just send all that good luck our side. That's all we need, and start getting some top 10s up here.
We had Bailey Curry on the week he had his career best finish. So I'm just saying.
If Jeffrey wins.
So what you're saying is at Martinsville, we're going to the front.
Yes.
There you go.
Bailey told us. The last thing he told us, I said, if you win, when you're sitting there on the stripe and you're getting interviewed on Fox TV, you got a shot at 4 laps down. He said, that's a deal. Now, he didn't win.
Okay. They didn't.
And they don't interview the 7th place finisher on the stripe. But if they had, he would have said that. So all I'm saying is when Jeffrey wins and they interview you, you got to say, we got to get you from 4 laps
down to win this race.
I got you. I'm really good at plugging sponsors in races. I got you guys.
That's what I like to hear.
I appreciate you.
Hey, he can include it on a dad joke over the radio. We can find it somewhere.
Well, now you're stretching. But with that being said, everybody watching at home, everybody that's tuning into this later on your favorite podcast network, we appreciate you tuning in. This has been 4 Laps Down from my co-host Daniel Shipp, our esteemed guest of the evening, Mr. Kase Kallenbach. Did I say that
There you
right?
go. You got it.
Mr.
Mr.
Kase Kallenbach. I am Nathan. Thanks again, and we'll catch you guys next time.
See you guys.